Welcome to the Cornbread and Kool-Aid podcast, a podcast for fans of the Detroit Lions. My name is Demetrius. This is 7-4, week 12, I guess I'm going to say, of the 2025 season. We always start the podcast acknowledging the Godfather, the super producer extraordinaire, Mr. Mike Ward. So this one will be fun for me and interesting, right? Because we have rules. We have rules on this podcast. Chief among them, we don't apologize for wins. Hey, what's up? Football talk. Love it. Excuse me. We don't apologize for wins. But sometimes this league puts you in a position where your team, somebody's saying they can't see me. All right, let me work on some technical here. I'm going to keep going and try and figure it out, Andy. Not sure which platform you're on, but we'll figure it out. So sometimes the league or your team or the other team, I guess it might be in this case, puts you in a position where it makes your podcast tough because you hear terms like ugly win. There's a case that could be made that the Lions didn't deserve to win today, but we have rules. This podcast, we have rules. We don't do that, right? It's too hard to win games. And if you've been a Lions fan for 47 years of your life, they've been good for 2.5, 3. Yeah, we don't have the luxury of doing that. So a podcast like this gives me a lot to do because I can't come on here and be happy, air quotes, for those of you who are not getting video. Sorry, Andy, I don't know what's going on. Air quotes happy, but they won, right? They're 7-4. They won. I always refer back to the letter grade. When your team can play a B-, C+ type game and still get a win, you take it. You take it. Like when I was thinking about what I was going to say, because just for those who don't know, my process is very simple. I don't take a lot of notes. I might note a play here or there. Hey, something that happened in the third quarter. But most of this is ego driven. How much can I remember? And it's about my brother. It's about my friends like Art. Andy is dedicated and I appreciate it. So if you chime into the comments, I will shout you out. If you throw a good question at me, I will rabbit hole from my topic and talk about it. Because there's a million Lions podcasts and everybody's got a way they want to do things. And my thing is just after the game, man, we all have this energy, good, bad, or ugly. And we gotta work it out. We got to work. You got to give me a name, football talk. I can't keep calling you football talk. So when we get a win, no matter what. And so when I look at it, I'm half winging this. I dropped a few stats because Jameer went over 200 and I wanted to know exactly what that was. I am a golf slappy, so I always pull up golf stats in case somebody wants to say something or badmouth golf. Oh, Bo. That's my bad, Bo. Bo is my guy. For those who don't know, I'm going to shout out Bo a lot. Bo and I do another podcast together. He's out in Seattle. Good dude, smart dude. Love me some Bo. Welcome to the show, man. So what we do is when we have a game like this, there's a part of you that wants to say, man, like my brother, right? And everybody knows I talk about Kenny all the time. Kenny was typing in, they suck first quarter. 10-0 into the first quarter. Kenny was like, we suck. This is gonna suck. And I love it. Joe Denver jumped the gun on me. I'm gonna get to that. The O-line's the real problem. But so some of this is me winging it, and like Bo knows because we've worked together enough that I just kind of go on wherever we flow. I think that sometimes you go into a game thinking this should just be easy. This should be a business meeting. We should go in, handle this, and be done. And a lot of us with a 10.5 or 11, depending on what sports book you use, kind of spread, we get okey doked into that. We fall for the banana in the tailpipe. And that's what that is. That's what a 10.5 point spread is. Because if you don't come out and play your game, if you come out and you play a B-, C+ game, almost any team in the league can beat you. they could beat you, right? This was an absolutely trap game. And because we're looking ahead to Thanksgiving to Green Bay, and Bo's letting me know this was a trap game. And he's absolutely right. So, like, for me, I never like am worried. I want to see what I see because I have a myopic viewpoint. And I've been here for 2 years. The Detroit Lions are playing against the same team every single week, no matter who's wearing the other jersey. They're playing against the best version of themselves. They're playing the Detroit Lions at the top of their game every week. They're playing the Lions who put up 52 on the Bears. They're playing last year, I think it was Indy and Jacksonville, lit them up. That's what they're playing. That's who they're playing against. Execute your game, all three phases, complementary football. You got to do all those. Today was not that. Today was not that. It is, you know, it's tough sometimes to watch. And as we're going through and I'm talking to people and getting texts from my brother, I'm feeling not great about it. But what I know, then I fall back on the things that I know because I'm a data-driven guy. I know what this offense is capable of. I know what Jared Goff is, right? And I want to do my Jared Goff rant really bad right now, but I'm not going to. I know who he is, but sometimes the better team doesn't even win. Sometimes if you trap game is what Bo said. And maybe for a good portion of this game, that's what it was. Certainly the first quarter. First quarter sucked. First quarter, they didn't even show up. And then you start seeing the things you don't like. And those of us who are good football fans, smart football fans, we know the things that cause you to lose games. Penalties, drops, right? Just execution things that you see. Busted coverage. Their guy, if their quarterback makes a good throw and a receiver makes a good catch, I'm fine. They're NFL players. We can handle that. When a guy is running by himself and then you see somebody in the quote unquote trail position chasing him, and you see it again, and you see it again, and you see broken tackles, and you see what should be a sack results in a 30-yard pass. This is execution stuff, and that's hard for me to handle. So the format, for those of you who are new, I give sort of high-level thoughts like I'm doing now about where they are and what they're doing. Then I break down the game, what I thought, because sometimes play of the game is in the first quarter. Sometimes second quarter, maybe in this case, right before halftime, right after halftime. There are those who will say, no, play of the game was first play of overtime, and I get that. I'll break down the game, and then I take 3 questions. We compile a couple questions. So in terms of like the overall, they're 7-4, right? And the Bears are finding a way. I'm not prepared to say the Bears are good. I am prepared to say the Bears keep finding a way, but we'll take care of them later. They still have Green Bay and Philadelphia on their schedule. Speaking of Green Bay, we'll see you in 4 days. I'm not going to do a whole soliloquy about what I think. Actually, I am. I'll probably do it. No, I'm not going to do it. We get to play them Thursday. We'll just find out. Yeah, I'll get up Friday morning and do a podcast and let you guys know how I felt. But the Packers are good at minimum. Can't say they're not good. The Bears are winning games. They're playing well and winning games. But we dropped 52 on them. And that wasn't that long ago. So if you tell me, the Bears are playing a lot better than they were then, that's cool. That's fine. What I know is that this team is resilient. That's the word I used. They're resilient. And resilient teams sometimes get ugly wins. But ugly wins still count as wins. There's not an asterisk next to this win. It's still a win. It's as much a win as the 52 we put on the Bears or the 44 we put on the Commanders 2 weeks ago. It's still a win. My overall feeling is at 7-4 today, notwithstanding, everything the Lions want to do is right in front of them, right? They got 6 games left. Guys, they go 5-1, they're fine. They go 4-2, they're fine. They go 4-2, that's 11-6 minimum that gets them in. If some crazy stuff happens, might not win the division depending on what those 2 losses are. But you go 5-1, you're fine. You probably win the division. I'm certain you win the division. But those 6 games are no cakewalks. You got Green Bay. You finish with Chicago. You got to go to the Rams. And Pittsburgh is not weak. I think Minnesota might be done, but there are winnable games there. But you got to go out and play the game, right? The A-plus version of the Detroit Lions can beat any team in the league. I don't think that's hyperbole. The A-plus version can. Yeah, I think there's a place for a JMO discussion. Um, and Bo brings up a good point. I don't know what the JMO thing is, Bo. I'm still trying to figure it out. I feel like it's schematic play calling. Bo's point is JMO seems to play better in the scripted opening drive. Most teams script their first drive, opening 12, 15 plays. JMO had 2 drops today that were significant drops. Hell, St. Brown had a couple. But to Joe's point, I never so the overall thing was we don't apologize for wins. We take the win. They did just enough today. Quite frankly, Jahmyr Gibbs bailed them out. And you know what? Thank you, Jahmyr. That's his job, maybe, right? In reality, they won today. And that's where I'm gonna full stop. They won 34-27 in overtime for those who didn't see the score. But that happens. It happens. Buffalo lost Thursday and didn't look good doing it. There are times where I look at the Lions' 4 losses, and at Green Bay, there was emotion, opening day, cool. Green Bay outplayed them. I said this last week on the podcast with Bo. I'm not bothered because the 4 losses were legitimate losses. Minnesota did some great schematic stuff, Brian Flores always does, that caused Jared Goff problems. Kansas City played really well that night, and last week, the Eagles are the Eagles. They're the Eagles for a reason. They got a trophy room for a reason. So I haven't seen that, oh man, we just played like crap and lost. We played like crap today and won, quite frankly, but they figure a way. Sometimes they do it putting up 50. Sometimes they do it in overtime, whatever it takes though. This league doesn't give you that, hey, ugly win doesn't count. Yeah, it does. Still do. So somewhere middle of the fourth quarter, I felt like this is just a bad effort, no matter what happens. So today, my thing is going to be, it was a hard game to analyze because there were clear execution mistakes. Defensively, there was a lot of busted coverage. Interior, the offensive line, I think Joe or somebody said earlier, that's a problem, guys. That's a long-term problem, like a rest of this year problem, because there's trade deadline's gone. There are no high-quality interior offensive linemen sitting at home on the couch that we can go get. That's going to continue to be a problem. Now, if you see a massive improvement from Coyote Owasika, okay, great. Great. I don't know. He's doing his best. They're holding it down. They did enough. But today was another team sort of across the board execution things. The defense bothered me today. I was prepared to come on and talk about how good this defense was and give Kelvin Shepherd some flowers, but it didn't work out that way. So I think that when we talk about effort, I don't think about spreads anymore. Once they kick it off, you got to go win that football game. You got to go beat that team across from you. And today felt different because a lot of things weren't right. And I started off and I just spent 15 minutes saying they won the game, right? They won the game. That's what matters. But I can't get on here and look into this camera and tell you guys I'm comfortable with today's win, or more importantly, where we are, right? Where we are. This is not the Lions team we've gotten used to seeing, right? JMO's drops, St. Brown's drops, although he had a really good game overall. Today is a take the win. I'm going to try not to bitch too much, but those of you who know me, know I'm going to break the game down. It is what it is. But the NFL, I'll feel better in a couple of days. And by the time we get to Thursday, I'll be ready to rock. But the NFL's tough. It's a tough deal. It's not easy, right? And middle of the fourth quarter, I was angry. I was prepared to come on here with some heat. I still probably have a little bit of that. But at the end of the day, I said, wait, they won. So how do you do that? How do you go do that angry podcast you wanted to do with about 6 minutes left in that game? I will do one thing that I've done, and Bo's probably heard this before. The officiating in this league sucks. I don't have any other pretty way to say it. The officiating in this league is at an all-time low. They won today. I'm saying it today after a win. The officiating in this league is atrocious. And if they don't take significant steps to address the officiating in this league, something really bad is going to happen. And there are people in New Orleans or Minnesota, wherever that was a decade ago, who believe it already did. And it probably did. Somebody didn't get to go to a Super Bowl. Somebody will remind me. I can't remember who it was. I feel like it was New Orleans, Minnesota. Just the officiating is horrible. horrible. Not the reason this game was closer than it should have been, but the officiating in this league is horrible. I don't have any other way. I'm not going to harp on the refs. I wanted that statement on the record, and in case I didn't say it loud enough, the officiating in this league sucks really bad. So let's go to the game. So I think that the Giants were smart. They tried to use our aggression against us. They came out doing trick plays. And when you have a team, particularly our best defensive player, and it's going to be tough for me to ever say anything bad about Aiden Hutchinson. Love him. He is an aggressive player. But there is a concept, and I've talked about this before, and Bo has both played football and I think coached. Contain. Aiden Hutchinson loses contain because he crashes down. He's trying to get the quarterback. Sometimes he comes in, his head is down, and teams are using that against us. I saw a couple of big plays where where Aiden Hutchinson lost contain and it hurt us. But I saw plays where coverage was busted, guys are wide open. I mentioned the officiating. The refs were horrible. That call against Brian Branch, that targeting, or they probably called unnecessary roughness. It was horrible. But ending the first quarter down 10-0, what I felt was they better start playing a much better game, crisper penalties. I think Hutch got offsides very early. So I was concerned after the first quarter just about some of the self-inflicted wounds where you kill yourself with penalties and mistakes. And Art, I agree. I worry about Hutch crashing down and lining up in the neutral zone. To me is the worst penalty in football. I don't know how it ever happens, but okay, fine. But at the end of the first quarter, I wasn't worried. So I think Andy doesn't agree with my ref thing, but that's okay. I know where Andy stands. He might just be messing with me. At the end of the first quarter, I wasn't necessarily worried, but I just didn't like the energy. And this is maybe the third time this year they've come out with really bad energy early in the game, right? But then there were some plays. They started making plays, right? The defense didn't look sharp because I kept seeing guys run wide open. And that, to me, the busted coverages and the secondary getting beat is a concern because you don't know if it's scheme or talent. You know they're missing guys back there, but you don't know if it's scheme or talent. So getting late into the first half when it's 17-7, I thought, this is a pivotal moment. And the defense got to stop, which was huge. I knew at the time it was huge, and I said to myself, there's probably 4 minutes left. I said, this is a moment in the game that could potentially be something I'm going to need to reference later. Because right now, if the Giants go in and score, get any points there, 27 or 24-7, it's a different game. But the defense got that stop. As much as I've been railing on them, they got that stop. And then from that, Gibbs goes 49 and then catches a touchdown pass. And it's a 17-14 game. You have a totally different game now. It's a totally different. You still have the penalties. I'm still struggling with the busted coverages. I'm struggling with the drops, but I'm better at a 17-14 game. And then they go get a field goal with not much time left. And I'm thinking, damn, we had an opportunity to take momentum getting the ball in the second half. And then Khalif returns a good return. We get the field goal back. And I thought that was huge. As much as a field goal to end a half can be to make a 6-point game, a 3-point game, I think it was huge. I think it really did. I think they were on the brink of losing the crowd. I think they were on the brink of feeling like the game could get away. But then you come out and then you have a penalty negate a huge play. Huge play. A penalty negates it, killed that drive. That, again, was another execution thing. Bothered me, was getting worried about why do we keep doing dumb stuff? Because aggressive mistakes, which is why I don't harp on Hutch. Most of the stuff I worry about with Hutch are just a product of he's an aggressive player. When he loses contains because he's trying to get to the quarterback. When he lines up off sides or jumps, he jumped off sides, I think early. He's trying to get to the quarterback. I can live with those. The missed tackles, I can't handle, right? Al-Qadim Muhammad had a huge play right in his hands and he let it go. But that second half possession, Andy mentioned, I think we're talking about the same possession, got killed. A big play got killed on a penalty, right? And so you're sitting middle of the third. I feel like the passing game is starting to get some rhythm. I think it's 2017 at the time. And then we give up a sack on first down. And I thought, here we go. Killed that drive. And I keep seeing the same things. And it's basically three things: penalties, drops, and busted coverage. O-line play in general, I'm not loving. But the three things I saw consistently today were penalties, busted coverage, and drop passes. And yeah, okay, Joe brings up a great point. My brother brought it up too. We weren't getting pressure on Jameis. We can say what we want about Jameis Winston. If you give Jameis Winston, Andy, don't start. If you give Jameis Winston time, Jameis Winston is still an NFL quarterback. And you saw today, with the exception of the one mistake, probably the best version of Jameis Winston. And to Joe's point, I believe it's because we weren't giving him time. The touchdown he got on that other trick play, I don't even know what that was. It was crazy. I think my thought was ridiculous. Don't even mention it on the podcast. But at that point, it's 27-17. They score. And I'm thinking, okay, we need something. I think I texted guys, we need a defensive play. Turns out we didn't. We just needed Jameer to do what Jameer does. Now it's 27-24. And now you're gonna have to make a play. You're gonna have to make a play, right? And I think that more busted coverage. And then I started focusing more on the refs. I don't like to. And they won the game today, so I feel better bitching about the refs after a win. I might have mentioned this earlier. Officiating in this league sucks, right? But that's fine. That play where Muhammad missed the sack and they extended that drive felt like a backbreaker type play. And that was the one where I was trying to control the emotions during the game. That was the one where Kenny is texting me the whole time. This sucks. They're losers. That's how my brother is. Love him to death. That's how Kenny watches the game every play. Kenny lives and dies on every play. And that's an interesting way to watch the game. And I do it to a degree, not quite as badly as he does, but there was bad tackling, bad coverage, continue with the busted plays. And when the Giants kept converting all of these third down plays, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 17, I started to get really concerned about the defensive backfield, right? And I know Kirby's not back. TA is still out. My friend Art texts me, we need TA back Thursday. He's right. Reed was back, maybe a little rusty. Rodrigo was back, but you could see communication issues on the back end of the defense that were bothering me. And every time they converted these, but we got the ball back down 27-24 probably. And then it's the penalties, right? So it's still a game, but what are we doing, right? And it's not an excuse, because I keep talking about the same thing. As much as I mentioned the refs, and Andy's giving me the blah, 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 because he wants me to do the Jared Goff thing, but I'm not doing it. You're not getting me today. I still saw busted coverage, which was the scheme or execution on the defensive backfield. I still saw drop passes, and I still saw penalties, us killing ourselves. And if you watch this podcast long enough, you know that I define losing and getting beat differently. Losing is what almost happened today. The Lions played a B- C+ game and almost lost to a less talented team. I don't think the Giants are bad. I think they're missing Malik Neighbors. I think they're missing Jackson Dart. I think they got a new coach. I think they're talented, but not as talented as the Lions. I don't think they're bad. But they almost lost today, right? And then you make the play, and Bates does what you pay Jake Bates to do. Jake Bates hit the field goal when you need to hit the field goal. And sent it to overtime. And so going into overtime, I think it's all about the snap. We need a good solid drive. Let's take a bunch of time off the clock, run it down their throats, really, really change the momentum. And then Jahmyr Gibbs called me and said, hold my beer. One play. Okay. Now this defense, right, that has not really, in my opinion, played very well all day. Busted coverages, got the interception, the one play, but I didn't feel comfortable, right? I was like, Giants might score. Giants might score, but they didn't. Right? They finally bowed their necks and made the plays you needed to make and got the win. So the game was a roller coaster up and down. I didn't like a lot of parts of it, but at the end of the day, they got the win. So a win is a win. That's the rule, and that's what we're doing. So and I will take your advice, Joe. Jack Campbell's a really good football player. Jack Campbell's and Alex Anzalone, the linebacker group in general. Barnes had a quiet game, but I think he was pretty good. I love our linebackers. I love our Art gives our defense an E, so I don't know if he loves the linebackers as much as I do. And I will give Andy props on. We are a running team. Offensively, everything we do is built around run the ball and then play action off of the run. And when you can't run, largely because your interior line is struggling, you're not going to be able to pass much, right? That's what it is. So since Andy keeps trying, I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's fine. I'll give him what he wants. It's cool. That's my guy. I'm an Andy fan. You're not putting this on my quarterback. Not today. I saw maybe 2 passes I didn't like. You might be in the camp of my brother who blames the interception on him, literally texted me and said, I knew Goff was going to throw an interception. And it didn't truly piss me off. I just said, wait, you consider that a Goff interception? That ball hit Amon-Ra St. Brown in both hands. No, that's not a Goff interception. That's where it goes down in the stats, but whatever. I'm not doing that. Goff played a Jared Goff game. He was solid. He made plays when he had to. You're not going to get me to badmouth Goff. And Andy, you can do whatever you want. You know how I feel about Jared Goff, and I thought he was not the problem today. Jared Goff was not the problem today. I think that when you look and you see that they had almost 500 total yards, you wonder, why am I beating up the interior of the offense? Why am I bitching about drop passes? They had almost 500 total yards. Well, 237 of that was rushing, and 219 of that 237 is one dude. But they scored 34 points. They won the game, and they had almost 500 yards in offense. So that's why at the beginning of the podcast, I said sometimes it's tough because they won the game, and I saw the numbers, but I also know what I see. I see what I see, right? I see what I see. I love it. So Kenny just joined in. So he's missed the good stuff that would have drove him nuts. Andy's on a mission. We ain't going for it. Not going to happen. Here's the thing, right? There is not 10 game balls to give out today. You could give Jack Campbell a game ball. He played well. I would not have a problem if somebody says they're giving Jack Campbell a game ball. I guess in theory, you could give St. Brown a game ball, but he had a couple of drops that I didn't love. I am not suggesting Jared Goff gets a game ball. There's only one game ball, and you give it to Jahmyr Gibbs. But when you have a superstar, and that's what he is, and there are people out there bitching when the Lions traded back and took him at 12, passed on the guy from Atlanta. Sorry, brain lock. I don't even think they could get the running back from Atlanta. I think we had the 6th pick. Atlanta took him maybe at 5, or maybe we passed on somebody else, dropped back to 12 and got Jahmyr at 12. There are YouTube videos of people saying, what are the Lions doing? They don't know what they're doing. This is crazy. Okay. Jahmyr Gibbs single-handedly won this game today. I don't love that. Jared Goff did his job. St. Brown, to a degree, did his job. Jack Campbell played well. I think Aleem McNeil actually played well. Jahmyr Gibbs won this game, and it's not just the stats. It is it's mostly the stats, right? It's all the big runs because they kept them in it, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay saying, yeah, our superstar level player single-handedly won a game. Sometimes you do it. Sometimes Jared Goff single-handedly wins games. Nobody wants to admit it. Andy certainly is not going to admit it. But he has done it. Bijan Robinson is the running back I was trying to think of. Thanks, Art. But Jahmyr Gibbs is a star. He's explosive every time he touches the ball. The best stat that I have on the screen now isn't 219 yards. It isn't the 45 yards receiving or the 3 touchdowns. The best stat is that he touched the ball 26 times. That's the key. if Jahmyr Gibbs touches the ball 26 times, and I don't care how you break it up, I like our chances. That's how you put up 494 yards on offense. That's how you score 34 points. Because if he touches the ball 26 times, 2 or 3 of them are going to the house. It's almost set in stone. I could do an hour on Jahmyr Gibbs. We ain't got that kind of time. Don't nobody want to hear me do that. We all know who Jahmyr Gibbs is, right? He changes everything. He forces the safety to do things. He forces the coaching staff to do things Wednesday before the game, dedicated just to him. He makes Goff better. He makes St. Brown better. Jahmyr Gibbs is the thing. So for me, Kenny says nobody deserves a game ball except Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, but then if you forget the drops, St. Brown just had another St. Brown game. And I think it's a struggle because the drops do bother me. St. Brown, this is what he does all the time. All the time, right? So 9 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown is a really good game for a receiver in the NFL. This is just normal. This is just another St. Imagine if he'd have caught the 2 he dropped, right? So there's a case for St. Brown, and I didn't pull up the defensive stats. I just felt like Jack Campbell had a really nice game. I just felt like Jack Campbell makes tackles, and he doesn't miss tackles, is what I feel like I want to say. So I think there was some good. Jack Campbell was some good. I think St. Brown was some good, but Jahmyr was just great. Jahmyr just did everything. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think this team is talented, which is why this shit bothers me, right? Andy's on one today. Okay, so Jahmyr gets the game ball, but other guys did play well. So let's get some questions in. See what we're gonna do. It's a win, guys. I know that's weak, but it's a win. All right, what's the first question? How on earth does this defense actually get better? Oh, first of all, Kenny mentions Jake Bates. Fair point. Very good point. Jake Bates might deserve a ball because that kick is everything. He misses that, game's over. How on earth does this defense actually get better? That is a really good question. And you guys are all in the comments. Andy, you're all vocal today. I'm open to you guys telling me. I'll give y'all my thoughts. The question is, how does this defense get better? I do think they're good. I think it's easy to take an outlier like today and say they suck because there were some busted coverages. There was no pressure on the quarterback. There was just some goofy shit that happened today that you could say that. And I would get it. But all in all, if you go through the whole year, this has been a good defense. We have to be honest, right? Today, I feel like was scheme related. Because it just didn't make sense where guys would be. And when I say scheme related, I think it could be a degree of the play that Shep calls and the offense calls a play that's good for that works on that. But more than that, when I say scheme related, Kirby's got a knee injury, Andy. He is just week to week. I don't know. I don't think he's going to play Thursday, but Kirby's knee is on the mend, right? So I think without pressure, or Art saying the same thing, without pressure, it makes it hard on the defense. So some of this might be pressure related, but I think that scheme related is about communication. And what I feel like I see is guys like Harper and Millette and some of these other guys, even though DJ Reed was back today, if they don't communicate right, guys are just not in the right spot. I saw a play where a touchdown, where it looked like a Meek handed the receiver off to Brian Branch, and Branch didn't get enough depth. And the ball just went over him for a touchdown to Isaiah somebody in the back of the end zone. That kind of communication stuff is critical. We don't see it, we don't hear it. But if they don't communicate, like if a guy thinks you're in zone, a corner thinks they're in zone, he thinks the safety is back there and is going to take that man. There was another play where 2 dudes ran into each other. There was another play, I think Kirby is a ACL, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a strain, though. I don't think it was torn. I know it's the knee. Could be the MCL, but Kirby's injury was a strain to a ligament. So there's a play where two guys ran into each other. So some of that communication stuff schematically happens. Sometimes a guy just gets beat. I love Amik, but Amik didn't have a great day today other than the one really good play he made. So back to your question. Guys coming back is my real answer to the how do they get better. Reed came back today. Rodrigo came back today. When you get back Kirby, you get back TA, and those guys will get better. Drunks off the street are not going to help improve the pass rush, despite what my brother thinks. So guys will probably get hurt too, but I think that I think he's joking. I think that when you get some guys back, you're going to see a more consistent level of play. And to my cousin's point, they didn't play to their full potential. We've seen better efforts from the defense this year. I want to call this an outlier. I don't think the defense is going to play like this. I think they're pretty stout up front, but it's getting any pass pressure. And I never know. Yep. Good call, Art. And don't laugh, everybody. Marcus Davenport's going to come back at some point. I don't know how long we'll get him, but Davenport is in his what they call the window. So Davenport will come back. So my answer is despite all the other stuff I just said, there's some scheme stuff that can be fixed. I think you tell me I'm going to get back Kirby at full strength. I'm going to get back a healthy TA, even though Kenny won't be happy. And I'm going to get something from Davenport. I think you see the defense get better. They communicate more. They get better. Right. Yeah. And exactly. It's hard to analyze when a guy's just wide open and you're wondering, you find yourself saying, who's supposed to be covering him? Who's supposed to be covering him? And Anzalone and Barnes are good. I'm fine with the linebacker group, no matter what we thought about today. I'm actually really good with linebacker play. For the most part, I got to look at the game again and see what kind of pressure we got. But Bo's point about, guys generally it's hard to analyze when dudes are just wide open. What happened? They got something called the all 22s. I don't get to look at, Bo might have all 22s. I don't get to see all 22s. So I don't know if these are communication breakdowns or just dudes doing the wrong thing. But much shorter answer is secondary will get better with Kirby and TA back, despite what Kenny says. Terrion Arnold is not hot garbage. He's a really good NFL corner, and when he comes back, it'll help. I'm tired of seeing dudes run wide open. Right. The communication has to get better, and just smarter calls. Right. So that's what I think can help the defense. All right, let's take another one. Who is your favorite Lion? Like my favorite Lion? I don't think it matters, but. I mean, we're doing this question. Okay. I mean, sorry, y'all. We're doing a question about who's my favorite Lion. Current or all time? I don't know. I'll say all time is easy. Anybody who knows me knows all my passwords have the number 84 because my all-time favorite player is Herman Moore, right? Love Stafford, love Barry. It's all good. Andy, I'm not doing the golf thing. You can keep trying. I'm going to talk about Herman Moore. Love Calvin, love Barry, love Stafford. Herman Moore's my all-time favorite player. Good dude, great in the community, and quiet as it's kept, was a really great player. Really great player. He just happened to play in the same era as Jerry Rice and Michael Irvin and a bunch of other dudes that were really, really good. It is tough to understand. Yeah, and I'm interested in you guys' favorite players as well. Billy Sims is a good call. Herman Moore is my guy, right? I actually got a cameo. If you guys know what a cameo is, they get a celebrity to do a little video. So did a cameo for me as a Christmas present last year. He said he was going to come on the podcast, but he did my cameo from a furniture store. So all good. If any of y'all know Herman, tell him I'm waiting for him to do the podcast. I haven't forgot. If we're talking about right now, Andy would assume it's Jared Goff, because he is working his ass off to get me to talk about Jared Goff today. And sooner or later, I'm going to break, but not yet. I think Gibbs is a good candidate. I love St. Brown. I like Brian Branch a lot. Actually, the answer is Demo. I think David Montgomery is just a team player, does his job, doesn't bitch and complain if he doesn't get the ball, he's really very Detroit, very grit, very what this team is. Gets the hard yards. He just does his job. You've never seen a story about David Montgomery bitching or complaining. I I like Demo a lot, and he just shows up and does his job. And on the day where Gibbs goes off, I don't know how many carries he had. So the answer to the question that Andy hated is currently is David Montgomery, all time is Herman Moore. All right, one more, and then I'm going to get out of here because Andy, I'm not giving Andy what he wants. Not today. I will not. Last question. You can't be confident about the team we saw today making any noise. Making any noise is the term they use for the question. So I don't know what that means. So I'm gonna frame it myself. Super Bowl, is that making noise? NFC Championship game making noise? I don't know what making noise means. So you guys can give me your thoughts on what making noise means. Let's treat it as how far do you guys think they can go? I will comment as if that's the question because I don't really know what making noise is. I do believe they can more than make noise. I talked earlier about there's 6 games left. Play to your potential. Your 5-1 is realistic. I think going to LA, the Rams are going to play tough. Rams are good. Forget about playing tough. The Rams are good. You got to beat Green Bay. You got a receipt. You got to cash in. You got a receipt. You got to cash in on Green Bay. You got a receipt on Minnesota. I think you're better than Pittsburgh. You're better than Dallas. That's 4, right? So then you're talking Rams and Bears at the Bears to finish it up. Do what you can in LA to play the Rams. And then if the Bears matter, it matters. So my cousin Chuck just still doing the favorite player thing. Oh, it's great, Chuck. I got to call it out. He just typed in Scott Mitchell. That's awesome. So Joe says wild card at best. He doesn't have a warm and fuzzy. I don't know, right? Bo, I like Bo's point. If you can win ugly, you can make noise. That's what my thing, what I keep getting caught up on. And y'all can fix me if I'm off base. Y'all can correct me. This is a talented, we know what they're capable of. We watched the Washington game. We watched them go into Baltimore. We watched them put up 52 on a 7-3 Bears team. So we know what they're capable of. And so it's so tough. Like, that's a great question. But when I look at it, it was almost panic time. If they had lost today, this would be a whole different conversation. This would be a draft conversation, right? This would be a draft conversation. There's a lot to clean up. I think they're talented, despite what a lot of people, some on this podcast might think. I think they've got a really good quarterback. I think they're talented at the skill positions. Laporta's loss hurts more than people think. By the way, I haven't mentioned it. Sam Laporta's loss hurts. Laporta gives us a different dimension, and that's tough. And Joe brings up a point about addressing it. It's too late, Joe. Trade deadline's gone. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do about tight end now. You're not going to find somebody. I think I said earlier about O-line. You're not going to find. You're not going to find some NFL starter level guard sitting on his couch right now. That dude would be on somebody's practice squad. That dude would be on somebody's roster. And Kenny just shouted out Mel Farr. I love that. Their interior offensive line and tight end are hurting us. And I like Brock Wright as well. I wish, Joe, that they could just address it right now. They just can't. I am someone who literally has a man crush on Brad Holmes. I don't mind admitting it. That is my dream job. I wish I had it. I am not happy that they did nothing at the deadline. I'm not. I felt like they believe, number one, bringing back when, not Aleem, sorry. If Davenport comes back, when DJ Reed came back, if TA comes back, when Rodrigo comes back, they thought our additions are injured guys that are coming back. That's not a horrible way to look at it. It's not horrible. It's not an irresponsible way to look at it. And I don't think this is cap issues because I think they had cap. It is sometimes, yeah, Bo mentioned a guard situation in Seattle where sometimes you have to go with the dudes that you have. You have to maybe try and scheme your way through, but you have to go with the dudes you have. And that's where we are now. That's where we are now. We need Christian Mahogany to get healthy because I think he's an upgrade over Osika. We need Tate Ratledge to get better. He is holding his own, by the way. I'm not complaining about Tate Ratledge. That's just the stuff we need. We need Ratledge to keep improving. We need Mahogany to come back. Because Oasika plays well, but you have a player or two in the game where he whiffed on a block today that poor Jameer tried to get over and pick up this blitzer, and he had no shot, right? But if that play happens at the wrong time, you kill a drive. You take points off the board. My feeling, and I think Joe agrees, number one, offensive line, right? But I think it's too late to address it. So I think that make noise to me is, I think they're a playoff team for sure. Because I think 5-1 is possible. 4-2 might be more realistic, but 4-2 makes you 11-6. I believe you're in. I believe you're in 11-6. Now, what does that mean? That means you got to go on the road and win. You're going to have to go win in Seattle, which I don't know if they can do. You got to go win in LA. You got to go win in Philadelphia. You might have to go win in Green Bay. I don't know. But I think that right now where we are, the roster is the roster. Getting back Kirby, yeah, that'll help. Getting back TA, Kenny's not right. That will help, right? Getting back Davenport, even for one play, might help. So I think the roster's the roster. There is no way to go acquire talent. Other teams' practice squads, I think you can still do that. But those guys are on practice squads for a reason. If they were good, they'd be on somebody's 53, right? So there is no, at this point in the season, way to upgrade your football team. End of the day, it's this. You got to call games better. Like last week, I struggled with play calling. Didn't get to do a podcast, just late for me and work stuff. Last week, I didn't love the play calling. Let me change that. I think there's a problem when the head coach, the guy who's making timeout, down and distance, head coach decisions, is also calling the plays. He can be stretched thin. I think we burned a timeout today. Thanks, Bo. Appreciate you. I think we lost a timeout today because Dan Campbell, the OC, was trying to figure out what play to run, and Dan Campbell, the head coach, didn't realize the play clock was low, right? Or however that works. So some of that stuff's got to be cleaned up. There's assignment stuff on the back end of the defense that'll get better with Kirby and TA, but needs to be cleaned up no matter who's in the game. I think Thursday is it, right? I'm in the mode now where I'm going to be doing game by game. Today is probably the last day, the last podcast where I start projecting out. I would like to go the Dallas one. I'm probably going to do one after the Dallas Thursday night game. I will probably do the Thanksgiving podcast on Friday. But I mean, who knows? I might just jump on. We'll see how it goes. Thursday is it, right? Thursday is, it's not the season, right? But it's a pivotal game. You get the Green Bay game back, right? You give Green Bay a loss, which is almost as important as you getting the win. You cash that receipt that you owe them from the opener. And if you go out and you play well and you do it, only game on Thanksgiving Day, prime time, do it with gusto, hang 40 on them, remind people who you are. That'll make me feel a lot better. So, and then Dallas, I just don't think Dallas good. Last I checked before I signed on, they were, for lack of a nicer way to put it, getting their asses handed to them. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you guys. So I think that let's get the Green Bay win, clean up the stuff that needs to be cleaned up. I will leave you with this. Do not forget how much talent there is on this football team. I could run down the names. Campbell is good. Anzalone's good. Aiden Hutchinson is great. St. Brown is great. J-Mo's good, right? Jared Goff's really good. As much as somebody doesn't want to admit it, there's a lot of talent on this team. So they can still win games. Thursday's a big deal, though. So I'm going to see you guys on Friday. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We had some fun. Andy, you didn't get me. I'm going to save it for you, though. I'm going to wait till he puts up one of those 150 quarterback rating games, and then I'm going to dedicate a whole segment to Jared Goff in your honor. And then everybody can be mad at you when they're out there saying, why is he talking about Jared Goff? Because of Andy. That's why. So everybody have a good night. A win is a win, guys. We got the win. I'll finish with that. We'll take it because you got to take it. And I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving. And then we'll talk to y'all next week. All right.